Hello everyone, we are on week 4 of our CSA and it's B week for those that have half shares. We have several new items, several repeat items, but I'm going to go over what we received in our shares this week, how to store each item, and then possible ideas on how to use them. Before I do that, 2 quick announcements. Well, one is really an announcement, one is just a reminder. So when you pick up at the CSA each week, you go up to the table and give your name. To the right of that table is the share table. And you can look in the bins. If there's items there, you're more than welcome to them. But keep in mind that we get a lot of items each week, a lot of different produce. If there's items that you already have that you know you're not going to use, or potentially produce that you just don't like, you may put them into that share box or share bins. I think there's 2 bins there. You don't have to like everything we receive. We receive obviously way more than a lot of people can use. So if you know you're not going to use items, just put them into those bins. But also keep an eye out because there are some items that certain individuals don't like that other individuals do. So I know last week there were kohlrabi, a bunch of kohlrabi in there that I grabbed because we love kohlrabi as a family. So I grabbed those as extra items to share with individuals. So keep a lookout for that and know that you don't have to take everything home if there's certain things that you don't like. The other quick note, go back through if you are a full share member and you picked up last week, go through your refrigerator each week, or if there's anything on the countertop. I think this is kind of the first week we'll have something on the countertop. And double check and make sure that there's nothing left over from last week. Anything that's left over from last week needs to be your priority. So if you have lettuce, if you have kale, if you have items that just don't store well, we want to use those first, prior to even touching any of the items that we get this week. So make that a priority for dinners or lunches or even breakfast to get those used up. If you're not going to use them up, then find a way to preserve them, freeze them, dehydrate them. And I'll give you ideas on the items this week on how to do a couple different things with different items. So those are our 2 announcements, reminders. We will jump right into our share this week. So we have head lettuce. So our head lettuce, typically unwashed, we want to store it in a plastic bag in the fridge. Wash it when you're ready to use it. If you do wash more than you need on a particular night or day, then you're going to want to store the wash leaves with paper towels, just so that they stay nice and dry. If they get moist, they're gonna get yucky. So that's our head lettuce. In the refrigerator, best used in salads, obviously, goes really well, since the leaves are so hearty and big, goes really well with burgers, on wraps, if you do tacos, things like that, anything that you would use lettuce for. We also got a half-pound, I think it is, bag of salad greens. These are gonna last less time than the head lettuce. So this you wanna use quickly. Typically keep it unwashed, keep it in a plastic bag in the fridge. If you do wash it, same as the head lettuce, we're going to put some paper towels just to keep the dampness away from the leaves. But this you want to use up within a few days. Great for lunches, great for salads. Can also be shredded and stuff as well, but this we want to use first. Okay, we have a bunch of kale. This is a little bit different than the kale we got. I feel like we got kale 2 weeks ago. Comes in a bunch. I think it's red Russian kale. Hold on, let me look. Yes, red Russian kale. Take the band off, put this in a plastic bag, store it in the fridge. As far as use, kale chips, it can be eaten raw, it can be sauteed and cooked, it can be blanched and frozen. I will be showcasing a recipe for kale next week, So hold off on that. You're gonna wanna use this bunch before that, obviously. But also go on the blog. So on our blog are a lot of past recipes. I know I did a great kale Caesar salad recipe. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but just type in kale, that'll come up. On the Facebook group, I know someone talked about kale chips and easy ways to make kale chips and lots of different ways to season them. So that's another option. So that gets stored in the fridge in a plastic bag. Dandelion greens. So dandelion greens, take the band off. I just like taking the bands off and letting the leaves be free in the plastic bag in the fridge. These are a little bit bitter. They can be eaten raw or they can be cooked. If you want to take some of the bitterness out, you can actually soak the leaves in salt water for about 10 minutes and then pull them out, get them dry if you're sauteing them, or put them in a salad spinner if you're going to eat them raw. Full of lots of nutrition, so these are really, really good for you. These can also be put in smoothies. So just like kale, dandelion greens are a great addition to smoothies. So we have strawberries this week. You could do a strawberry and dandelion green smoothie. That would be a neat combo. Okay, fennel. Fennel we had last week. For fennel, we want to remove the bulb. So we want to cut the straws and the fronds off from the large bulb. You want to store the bulb. So we got 2 of these. I just have the other one behind me. The bulbs you want to put in a plastic bag in the fridge. The fronds want to be in another plastic bag in the fridge. And since they're pretty large, I do have some larger bags that will fit these, but you can cut them in half. Fennel is amazing if you have a juicer or if you want to throw it in a smoothie. It's also great sauteed, roasted, grilled. You can eat it raw as well. Okay, scallions. Scallions you want to store in a plastic bag in the fridge. Take the band off. We are getting really, really big scallions, so you want to use these for just about everything. Like chop them up, throw them in your salad, chop them up and add them to roasted vegetables. You can, last week I showed you, or I think I told you that I was dehydrating them, so you can also do that. If you have leftover scallions from last week, you want to use those first before you use these. You can dehydrate them. They're a mild onion flavor, so you would use it the same as you would use onions, just milder. So you would either use more of it or know that the flavor is going to be less. Okay, we have kohlrabi again. So for kohlrabi, we want to take, the leaves are edible, so we want to take the stems and the leaves off and store the bulbs separately. This can be eaten raw. There's a great recipe for kohlrabi apple salad on the blog. We also talked in the Facebook group about pickling kohlrabi, so that is mentioned, and just type in, there's a search engine in the did I say the blog? I meant the Facebook group. In the Facebook group you can type kohlrabi and you'll get that feed about pickling. We just used up our kohlrabi from last week, and all I did was chop it up kind of like a potato, seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of olive oil, and we roasted it in the oven on 375 for 20 minutes. My kids loved it. It takes on a different flavor when you cook it and roast it, and it just is a nice side, so that's an option as well. The greens you would cook just like you would any other greens, so they can be eaten raw, or you can saute them just like a kale or a dandelion green. Okay. We have broccoli, so either 2 or 3 heads of broccoli. I have purple broccoli. When I cook this, it will turn green. Trisha said that Thursday's share may or may not have purple or green. It doesn't matter. These can be eaten raw. I know last year I did a salad where you just quickly blanch the broccoli, and then it has all kinds of other vegetables in it, so that can be done. That would be on the blog. This can be roasted, it can be steamed, you could certainly throw it on the grill. So lots of fun stuff that you can do with the broccoli. Because this broccoli is organic, critters can hide out in the florets. So when you go to use it, store it unwashed in a plastic bag in the fridge. When you go to use it, do a big bowl of salt water and stick the heads in the salt water for a good 20 to 30 minutes. Mix it around, and then all the bugs and dirt will come out of it. And then you can cook it or use it. Okay, we have pick your own strawberries. This will probably be the last of the strawberries. We have 1 quart. This week's recipe will showcase these guys. So I know we've had them for several weeks now, for 4 weeks total. If you are a half share, you've had them for 2 weeks total. I hope you've enjoyed them. They've been a true blessing. I know for a few years we didn't get the strawberries because it was either too wet, the weather didn't cooperate, things like that. So we've enjoyed these a lot. They're hard to keep around in the house. Best stored in a colander so that the water drains in the fridge if you can keep them, and not have your family eat all of them in one sitting. But this week's recipe will showcase these. It will showcase the whole quart, but you can half the recipe. So if you end up eating some, you'll be able to half the recipe and only use half of them. The other thing that this week's recipe is going to showcase is the basil. So basil is the one herb, at least the one herb I know of, that we don't store in the fridge. Basil does not like the cold. So take off the band, cut the bottoms, so it's a nice clean cut. Remove any leaves that are like low, and then we're gonna put it, we're gonna put it right in a cup. Don't want to have to pull this back out. We're going to put it in a cup of water on the countertop. So we don't want to store it in the fridge. We want it room temperature. So I have a cup of water, and we're just going to put it right in there. So that's how I'm going to store it. Keep an eye on the water. We want to make sure there's always water in there. So if it evaporates, we need to add more. Okay, so that's going to be stored right on the counter. We have summer squash. So we just got one this week. We'll see more throughout the season. Summer squash is stored in the fridge. I usually throw it right in my crisper drawer if you have space. You can put it in a plastic bag on a shelf if you don't have room in your crisper. These can be eaten raw. They can be sauteed. They can be roasted. They can be grilled. You can slice them all different ways. It's fun to slice them long ways and grill them. You can spiralize them. So we love using these as noodles. I have there's all different contraptions you can use to make them into noodles, but they also, you can just use a peeler and make longer, like linguine noodles. So that's an option for the squash. Okay, a couple more items. We've got garlic scapes. So these are one of my favorite items. Tastes like garlic. There's garlic. You can use it in anything that you use garlic in. So these are the farmers cut these off of the garlic so that the garlic grows larger. And Trisha will do there'll be a farm video later in the week that will show us more details on exactly how the garlic scapes grow. So these can be used in pesto. They can just be cut up raw on a salad. They can be grilled. They're excellent grilled. Just put some oil on them and throw them right on the grill and leave them just like this. And then you can chop them up smaller when you serve them. They can be toppings, like crunchy toppings on different items. like if you roast vegetables, they would be excellent in like a potato. You could grill them and have a baked potato and then put them as like a loaded potato. Storage. We want to store these in a plastic bag in the fridge. And they'll last quite a while. So these are not an item we need to use right away. All right, we also picked sugar snap peas, and I just posted a picture of the sugar snap peas. Trisha goes over this in the email, but these need to be nice and fat. We don't want to pick the really thin ones. Those aren't ready yet. These stored in the fridge, if they last that long, if I wash these up and clean them up, pull the string off, so when you kind of peel this, do you see that string? That comes off. And then I do the same thing with the bottom, wash them, and then this is ready to eat. If I clean these up tonight and put them on raw on the table, I'm not sure I ever cooked these, they'll be gone by the end of the night. My kids and I devour them. So they rarely ever get cooked in our house, but you can steam them, you can add them to stir fries, you can certainly chop them up and add them to salads, you can dip them in dips just like you would like a crudité. They rarely last long in our house to do anything with other than eat raw, just like that. The last item we got is cabbage. Cabbage lasts a really long time, so this is an item we can kind of put away and focus on the items that are more delicate. Cabbage we want to store in the fridge, just like this, unwashed. It doesn't have to be in plastic. If we do use some of it, if we cut it at all, like if I use half of it and I don't need the other half yet, then I'm gonna wanna put it in plastic and put it in the fridge. Cabbage can be used raw or cooked. It can be used in coleslaw, salads, we can make sauerkraut. It's also great if you cut it into steaks, so slice it nice and thin into rounds and grill it. Just put some oil on it, some seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder is my general seasoning, and then throw it on the grill and grill both sides. It's excellent as a side that way. I think that's it. So those are all the items for today's share and Thursday's share. So we have some repeat items, we have some new items. The recipe will be posted on Thursday. If you have any questions, just post them here and I will answer them throughout the week. This video will also be posted on YouTube. One quick thing I wanted to mention, there's also pick your own herbs. So today I noticed there was chamomile, there's a bunch of mints. I know there was spearmint, there was mojito mint. I think there was a chocolate mint. What else was there? Lemon balm, lavender. So last week there was lavender and pick your own herbs, and there's pink or red flags. There's flags in the herb boxes that we're allowed to pick. You can go and pick whatever you're gonna use. Please only pick what you're gonna use and don't pick more so that everyone has a chance to pick some. Last week I picked some lavender. And because of Trisha's video where she infused the water with chamomile, I tried infusing water with lavender, and I don't know if you can see, it's probably much prettier in person, and I haven't drained it yet, like I'm gonna take the lavender out. These were bright purple when I put them in. So the water is actually a lavender tint. It's beautiful. I'm gonna drain it, put it in the fridge, and put it over ice throughout the week. But we can do this infusion with any herbs. So I just picked today some mint and some lemon balm to try those. Obviously we're supposed to drink lots of water, but when we infuse it with different herbs and different flavors, it's just fun. And then we put it over ice, it's a little bit more refreshing. So that's an option for our herbs. And I wish you could see how actually pretty, I feel like it just looks murky here, but it does look really pretty and lavender colored, purple colored. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next week.